Hello, my name is Luis Pinto and my partner is called Angel Sucasas, and we are going to present you the agile method called Scrum. So basically, an agile development is refers to a software engineering method based on iterative and incremental development, where required solutions evolve over time based on project's needs. What it tells is that uh, each time the project needs a feature, it will evolve to accomplish that feature. Thus, the work is carried out through the collaboration of self-organized and multidisciplinary teams. But before continuing to tell you what Scrum consists, you gotta understand two concepts. The first one is called methodology. Methodology is a set of methods that are followed by a scientific investigation and agile. Agile basically is the ability to respond in a versatile way to maximize the benefits of an outcome. So now that you understand those two concepts, now we can know about Scrum. Scrum is an agile development methodology based on the idea of creating short development cycles or iterations. On this case, they have a name called sprints that basically they are iterations that last between 2 or 4 weeks. Now I'm going to tell you about the origins of the Scrum methodology. The first idea was published in 1986 by Takeuchi and Nonaka in the article of New Product Development Game. This article was about an innovative way of managing projects with agility and flexibility were the main elements. Inspired by technology companies such as Honda, HP, and Canon, they saw that the product did not follow phases, but instead was divided into very general requirements that the product was made by the multidisciplinary team. Uh, the origin of the name, it comes from the sport called rugby. It's a formation that is called Scrum, hence its name. Uh, Basically, the formation included a set of a way of teamwork between the people that were inside. And finally, on 1996, Jeff Sunderland and Ken Schwaber presented the practice that were used as a formal process for the software development. And that will be included in the Agile Alliance list. So why use Scrum? Okay,
Okay.
so why use Scrum? Scrum has a lot of benefits. We got managing client expectations that are next to anticipated results. What does this mean? It means that because you know what is going to be the outcome of the feature, clients uh, don't have this expectation of that the project is going to be ready or the other way around. They will know when the project is going to be ready. Productivity and quality goes with flexibility and adaptation. Why? Because if you are flexible and adaptable, you can grow your productivity and quality of this feature. And with those two, we can also reduce the risk of having a bad feature in. Uh-huh. So what is the process of the Scrum methodology? The development is done iteratively and incrementally between 2 and 4 weeks. These iterations are called sprints, as I said before, resulting in a a new version of the set feature or project. During each sprint, you will have a new upgrade, a new increment of the software. Each characteristic, you will find them on the product backlog. That is a set of high-level requirements that define the work to be done. Basically, the product backlog items are determined in the sprint planning meeting. More in that, Angel is going to say about that in the future. Once the sprint planning is done, the team is going to talk with the product owner to search for clarity and to determine the amount of work that is going to be committed on this sprint. During the sprint backlog will be frozen. That means that no task is going to be edited or changed during this sprint. Now I'm going to give you the words to my friend Angel so he can tell you the elements of the process.
Okay, so I am Angels Casas, and as my partner was saying, there are six mainly elements in the process of a Scrum. One of them is the product backlog. Basically, the product backlog is a set of requirements called histories, described in a non-technical language and prioritized by business value, or what is the same, by return on investment considering their benefit and cost. Um, Requirements and priorities are reviewed and adjusted during the course of the project at regular intervals. Okay, the next element is sprint planning. Uh, it consists of meetings during which the pro owner presents the backlog stories in order of priority. The team determines the numbers of histories that it can commit to complete in that sprint. For, in a second part of the meeting, decide and organize how it's going to be achieved. The next element is sprint. I'm not going to talk much about it because my partner Luis has already talked a lot about sprint. So I'm going to go to the next element, that is sprint backlog. Is a list of tasks necessary to carry out sprint histories. The next element is daily sprint meeting. Uh, it consists, as its name says, is a daily meeting of a maximum of 15 minutes in which the team is synchronized to work in a coordinated way. Each member comments on what they did the day before, what will they do today, and if there are any impediments. The next task is demo and retrospective. It's basically a meeting that takes place at the end of the sprint in which the team present the histories obtained through a product demonstration. Later, in retrospect, the team analyzes what was done well, what process could be improved, and discusses how to improve them. Here we have three main questions to evaluate the progress of the task. And the first question is, what work has been done since the previous meeting? The second question is, what work will be done until a new meeting? And the last question is, what problems have arisen and must be solved in order to continue? Okay. And now the roles. In a Scrum, there are three main roles. The first one is a Scrum Master. Many consider the Scrum Master to be the project leader, And in a way it is, but the work doesn't end there. In addition to managing the action in each iteration, he's charged of keeping the work team in contact with the client. Other function he has is resolve conflicts that hinder the normal reading of the project, encourage and motivate the work team, um, negotiate and renegotiate the condition with the client, um, avoid interference of third parties in the work, etc. The next role is the Scrum team. Uh, Finally, the Scrum team refers to the work team that carries out the action of each iteration. It consists of programmers, designers, architects, service personnel, etc. The main thing is that they must be organized as a group or a team and play specific roles within it. They basically deal with things like the following: develop each of the tasks included in the work plan, put their knowledge and techniques at the service of the project, and the last role, role owner. It is the central role of the project. Um, Sometimes it is who represents the client, and in others, they are the same person, the representative and the client itself. Uh, its main functions are convey the business needs to the director and his work team, decide on the functional characteristic of the product or service, review the product at the end of each iteration, and suggest change and adaptation at the end of each new iteration. Here we're going to mention some popular tools used for Scrum on development teams. Okay, the first one is Jira, and the second one is Target Process. The third one is Verify Scrum. The fourth one is Jodis. The fifth one is Scrum Do. The sixth one is Quit Scrum, and the last one is Manuscript. In our career, we have used Trello, and Trello is very similar to Jira. Um, they're so similar that Jira, the the business of that owns Jira, has boy Trello, and they are no like brothers. So in a sense, they are very similar. And right here we have some characteristic about the tools. We have the price, $10 a month for 10 users for Jira. We have $20 a month for user for the process. We have $8 a month for user in Verified Room, $3 a month for Jodis, $9 a month for Scrum Do, and 10 users. Quiz Scrums, $3 a month. Manuscript, 62 monthly, 5 users. That's really expensive. And yeah. And now we're going to mention some examples of Scrumming companies because it's important to see what can Scrum really do for your project. And these two cases are really interesting. The first one is the story of Spotify. Basically, thanks to Scrum, the product could compete and be successful. And the other story is of healthcare.gov. And they use Scrum, but they use it in a really bad way. Okay. So what is Spotify? Um, Spotify is a multi-platform music reproduction application published on April 2023 in 2006, developed in Python, JavaScript, and React. It was competing against such corporations. They knew that at any moment they could be defeated unless they were faster, cheaper, and better. So to reach that goal, they followed this structure. Um, Basically, teams were organized by squads. Um, we can see an image right here. Okay, so they were a little squads, and those squads will form a tribe, and they were multiple tribes, and each one will have their squad, and each tribe will have their own pro backlog, so they can all work independently one of another, and they will compete against them, and that will increase the productivity of the whole team. Also, they will get rid of those parts that interfere with the progress. They don't want any distraction. They want just the best part of Scrum. Um, as I was saying, each of these small groups has a part of the product that is totally their own, um, and developers implement their work. And thanks to this, um, they released the product first, and they became a very successful company. In the other hand, we had the history of healthcare. Healthcare is a project of American government designed to offer all the information and transparency about the health insurance market so that consumers can make sure they get the best value. And what what did fail? Um, the main cause of failure in the development of healthcare was the lack of coordination between front end and back end, the lack of leadership in a project with more than 20 consultants involved, and also not having launched the project phase by phase without testing or learning between phases. Uh, all this combined make it impossible to detect the phases that it did not work. So there was a lot of things that that made this project fail. Basically, they didn't do Scrum. They 20 consultants are way too much people, so they didn't apply Scrum correctly, and they didn't have leadership. So there was no they, they didn't each party was working as they wanted. There was no they were not coordination. So um, there was no agreement between the parts, and basically that's what made the project fail. And that's it. I hope you liked the presentation. It was all about Scrum.